I was scared of getting to know other people and seeing the humanity in them and then getting discouraged and not going back to church. Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Tea Time with T, or as I like to call it, Testimony Time with Talia. This is the first year that I came to Christ. That's what we're gonna go over. After I went to that church, Kingdom Now International, and preacher essentially introduced me to Jesus and really made me think, all this time I have grown up in the church and I stopped going to church around middle school. I never read my Bible for myself and I didn't really learn a lot when I went to church as a kid. But I thought that I knew God. I knew who He was. But apparently I only knew of Him. And even the version of Him that I knew, based off of what everyone else had told me or taught me, was not the version of Him that this teacher, this preacher, that apostle was teaching. And everything that he was saying was things that were in the Bible. He had his references, he's referencing the stories, he was bringing up the scriptures. And now that I'm older and I'm able to understand, I was like, why is it that the character of God that you're explaining and displaying is not the character of God that I know? So I went to go seek God for myself. And this is also not just because of the way that he taught, but also at the end, he let the Holy Spirit flow, which at the time, I didn't even know who the Holy Spirit was. I heard of him, but I really just thought the Holy Spirit was just a blob, a thing, the Spirit of God, and just, that's it. So I never really thought too deep. But that's what I thought. But he, in that moment, showed me that there's more. There's more to Christianity than I thought. There's more to Christianity than the people around me were living. And I was like, I want to know more, especially after I received that healing of my tooth. Randomly picked out. He doesn't know me. My family didn't know I was going to the service, so it's not like they could have warned him or told him. Nobody even knew I had the pain. I wasn't close to my family, so I never told them anything. So, no one could have knew except God. And, in that service, God spoke to me. And He really showed me, just how loving and how kind He is and how He does care about every single little detail. So because He cares about me, I wanted to care about Him. And I started reading my Bible. I started reading at first a little bit by myself. And this whole story is intertwined with my relationship. So I started asking my boyfriend at the time, what does he know about the Bible and stuff. He said he used to go a lot more frequently than me, so he could quote certain scriptures, and we read the Bible together. But it seemed like I had this hunger and this desire to know more, while he would read it and just be satisfied with whatever he got, with the understanding that he got. He's like, okay, cool, yeah, that's what it says, on to the next. And for me, I was like, no, but why does it say that? Why did he say it like that? What does this parable actually mean? Why did he give this example to them instead of saying something else? Why is he speaking like this? I always wanted to know more. And even sometimes, I would read it and I'd be like, man, did you see that? And he's like, Talia, what are you talking about? And I would explain the revelation that God gave me, and he'd be like, I don't understand where that's coming from. And I would be like, well, look, because here are the pieces. And he's just like, oh, okay. So after a while of him being plain like that, I really just started doing things on my own. I was like, okay, if I want to go deeper, unfortunately, this is something that I am going to have to do by myself. At this point, I was already going to church by myself. Yes, my family went to that church, but I didn't want to be around them because I didn't want to get distracted. And then I was the girl who went to church and left immediately after the service because I was scared of getting to know other people and then seeing the humanity in them and then getting discouraged and not going back to church. Or even getting to know other people and then them hurting me. And then I would have to find a different church. And like I said, I've been to churches and no one taught like Apostle did. So I didn't want to have to look for a new church just because I made a friend who turned out not to be a friend, you know? I didn't want to carry that hurt or that baggage. I just wanted to seek Jesus. And this guy, this man of God, he knew who God was. And he let God use him. And I said, I want to be used like that one day. And I want to have a deep relationship, my own relationship with God. So because of that, I stayed away from people. Like, I stayed away. I didn't understand the power of community, but at that moment, I was in my wilderness season, even though at the time I didn't know what that was. So anyways, I was reading the Bible by myself, and even when I was at work, I was at work, and I worked for a laundry company, and I actually used to go into work wearing the little outfits and like slightly covered up, really not much. That's how I would get people in. Like I would entice people in to buy the merchandise because they can kind of like see it on. And I would encourage the women, you know, like actually this is super cute, like it's casual enough, you can do this, that, and the other. And that was my job. And at one point, you know, when it was slow, I would be reading my Bible. Literally, when there was nobody coming into the store, I would read the Bible, read the Bible, read the Bible. I'm like, man, they did this to Jesus? Man, I knew that he died on the cross, but I didn't understand how severe this was. I knew that he lived with us, but I didn't know he laughed with us. I didn't know he made jokes with us. I didn't know he was hungry, like we were hungry. I didn't realize he cried like we cried. Like, I didn't understand how human he was, and yet how much of God he is. Because in my mind, how can you be all divine and all human? But when you read the Bible, like, not only does it come alive, but you really get to see both sides. And it was just so amazing and so encouraging. The Lord actually started convicting me at that job, like convicting me. First, he was actually convicting me of my job, period, point blank. That I worked at that store and that I was encouraging other people to fornicate. Now, before y'all come for me, let me back it up, let me rewind. Because he first convicted me fornicating. At this moment, I chose to be abstinent. That can be an entirely different video. But that was my choice, to be abstinent. And I actually chose that because I had realized in a moment that I could not be intimate with my partner because I started having like triggers and PTSD from when I was SA'd, and I never healed from that. So that's when I told my partner, like, hey, I just want to be abstinent. Like that, in that moment, it had nothing to do with, oh, I'm glorifying God and honoring my body. No, it was, I had too many triggers, and I was like, this is so crazy, this never happened to me before, but I don't want to freak you out or scare you or make you feel like there's something wrong with you, when really it's just something wrong with me, and my past just seems to be, you know, just flooding back. Abstinent. Then that's when, as I was reading the Bible at work and everything, I started realizing how I am influencing other people to do bad things, and I'm okaying it. I'm basically approving it, and even more, I'm assisting in it. So I started feeling uncomfortable with my job, and I said, you know, Lord, like, you know, take me out of this position. Like, I don't think I can do this anymore, because, you know, this is how I make my money, and I don't want to make my money like this if I'm letting other people fall, if I'm okay with with other people falling. And now what other people do with their stuff is what they do with their stuff. But when people come into the store and they tell you this is specifically what they're going to do with their stuff, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's great. Now let's get you this, that, and the other. It's like, no. If someone told you they were going to, someone, and you're sitting there like, yeah, here's the gear for it, like, you are an accomplice. So, I started feeling real guilty. I didn't know about conviction, but that's essentially what it was, hard to get convicted about that. So I asked the Lord, send me to a different place. Like, I don't want to be here. They sent me to a different department. Now in this department, I am not really selling the lingerie, but I'm still selling like the clothing. And at this point of selling the clothing, I start like listening to the music, and I started really paying attention to how we set up stuff, how the company is being run, and all those little details. And I just started to see like how demonic it is in that environment. Even how like people were talking, like I didn't realize that I was shifting. Like this was the Lord shifting me, setting me apart. I was being set apart at this moment. I was being able, like my discernment was turning on, like what is of God and what is not of God. But I didn't know at this time. So it was very weird because I started to get uncomfortable with everything around me, like being into the environment, having certain conversations I couldn't even have anymore. Laughing about certain stuff or talking about certain stuff no longer felt comfortable. I no longer felt even safe in that environment. We're telling the Lord, like, Lord, I don't know how I can get out of here. I don't know what jobs I need to apply for. I don't know what I have to do or where I'm going, where's next. But I trust you, and I trust that you'll take me out of here because this is not what you have for me. I can tell that you want something else for me because I know that I want something else for me, and I can tell that this place is not your will. So I said that while I was at work a couple times. And a couple weeks went by, and all of a sudden I'm standing outside at night eating my little snack in my parking lot, waiting for someone to bring me some clothes, I think it was. And all of a sudden I feel like a sharp pain go through my ankle, and it hurt, but I just thought I tripped on something, or I don't know, something happened. So I went ahead and went to work the next day. I went to work for about 2 or 3 days, and then they had to send me home because I was limping real bad. And I was saying, oh, it's fine, but the limp just got worse and worse. And they're like, you know what, Talia, you have PTO, just take it, use it, you need to go to the doctor. So I went home, and I didn't even go straight there. I was like, well, they already gave me the rest of the week off. So I literally enjoyed my day the first 2 days until it started actually getting irritated. And I was like, well, you know what, let me make a doctor's appointment just to make sure this is okay, because I don't understand why I have an ankle injury for 4 or 5 days, and it's still here. When I went to the doctors, they're checking my foot and everything, and then they say, I think you have an Achilles injury. And I'm like, a what? And they're like, an Achilles injury. This serious? Let's send you somewhere else. They sent me to the podiatrist, I think it is. But like the foot specialist, they checked me and they said, yeah, you have an Achilles injury. I don't know how you were walking on this for almost a week. And then they said I have to stay off of it completely for 6 weeks. So I won't be able to go to work for 6 weeks because that's how bad it was. And I was extremely shocked, and I was like, okay, whatever, it's fine. I went home, and I didn't really care. I texted my manager and everything, I let her know. And for a second, I was freaking out. I explained to her how I'm going to be out for 6 weeks. And that was way longer than I had PTO time for. And I was like, how am I supposed to pay all the bills in the house and do everything that I need to do if I do not have a job? But then I caught myself in that thinking, and I said, you know what, Talia, during COVID, you didn't have the funds for like 2-3 months, and then God made a way. So if that can happen, then God will make a way now as well. So I did. I just let go. I just trusted God. And I got a text message from the lady who did my eyebrows. And she said, hey, I remember you saying that you're interested in being an esthetician. Do you still want to be an esthetician? I am hiring for an apprentice. It's going to be, like a 3-year contract, but at the end of the 2nd year, you can go get your license. And I will teach you the craft. I will teach you how to pass the test. I'll teach you everything. It'll be free. Of course, the first couple of months you may not make money because you have to find your own clients, but all in all, it'll be worth the investment. And I remember texting her and being like, oh, thank you, but I don't think I can make that type of commitment because financially I'm committed to so much. And she said, okay, if I'm interested and the spot's still open, to text her back whenever. So I said, cool. Once I told my manager that how long I'd be off, I remember my manager texted me back a little later. I think they were on vacation or something too, but it was a little bit later. And they said, okay, well, you only have 2 weeks of PTO. After that, you can still stay off because obviously you can't come in. But because of your position, we may not be able to hold your position. So I was in this weird area because I'm like, hold up. First of all, I was training to get into a higher manager position. But it's okay because regardless, I don't really want to work there anymore because of how the company is, and it just doesn't align with my values anymore. But then now I have this injury and you're telling me I might not have my same job, which means even if I come back, my pay might change because my position will change. And not an increase, but it'll be lower. So I remember telling my boyfriend, this is what's happening. I don't have a job. I don't know how I'm going to do this. What should I do? And I remember him telling me, Talia, just pray. Just pray about it. And he said, if there's anything I can do to help, I will help. And I was so surprised because I didn't want to put any of this burden or weight or anything on him. I fully understand, you're not my husband. You're not supposed to be taking care of me in certain ways. And on top of that, I was the one constantly taking care of anyone else. So I didn't like to actually even rely on anyone else because every time that I trusted and relied on anyone, they always ended up hurting me and leaving me probably worse than I was before. So I faced a lot of abandonment and rejection. So it was difficult for me to accept his help, but I didn't really have much of an option. So I just told him, okay, if I need your help, I'll definitely let you know because what I'm about to do is something crazy. Only God can get me through it, but I'm gonna try. And so I went ahead and I quit the laundry job and I texted the girl and told her I will be your apprentice. And so that is the beginning of this story. I hope that this encourages and inspires you to continue to seek God, to continue to put Him first, and then just trust Him with everything that you have. Hopefully, honestly, you'll learn something from my mistakes and my stories, and it can help you out in life as well.